Doma Sports Talk worldwide with some news from the world of boxing. So y'all know what time it is. You ain't in a rush to get concussed, baby. Now, let's talk two legends. Matter of fact, two fighters that are in the conversation, the GOAT conversation, actually. When you talk about greatest fighters you've seen, greatest fighters out there, stuff like that in history, you know, these two names will come up. They'll come up, right? You know what I'm saying? And I'm talking Roy Jones Jr. and I'm talking Floyd Money Mayweather. Now, everybody that's in the boxing a little bit understands who these guys are, and you understand that they kind of been beefing a little bit of late. I don't know if it's kind of a show thing or if they've really been beefing, but see that, I'm gonna say this, up front. I've seen both of their and lived through both of their careers, right? And I like Roy Jones more, right? I like Roy Jones more. I think Roy Jones is the baddest dude I've ever seen. During his ascension, until he got to heavyweight, he had to lose. He went up to heavyweight to beat John Ruiz, and then he had to come back down. Then he started losing some fights towards the tail end of his career. But up until then, it's probably the baddest dude you ever seen. It was not only winning, but he was winning lopsided wins. He was obviously just ridiculously awesome, and he had a lot of hard fights and a lot of great fighters on his resume. So I prefer Roy Jones. I want to preface that because lately, in this beef, when asked, if Floyd Mayweather's in his top 10 or top 15 fighters, I really have to say that I would rather Roy Jones don't give any more interviews when it comes to Floyd Mayweather, because it sounds bitter. And Roy Jones is somebody that he shouldn't have to be bitter, because Roy Jones is respected. Roy Jones, everybody knows how good Roy Jones is. There's not too many people out there talking about, oh, Roy Jones ain't good, or he wasn't nothing, or this and that. It's probably only one guy Roy Jones should have fought that he didn't, and that would be Dariusz Misichowski, the undefeated Polish guy by way of Germany, or German guy by way of Poland. I don't know how you say it. But he was, undefeated for a long time, and Roy Jones knew of it. But Roy Jones, seeing as though he got cheated in the Olympics, he just wasn't going to Europe to fight the guy. So that's just how that rolled. And the guy wasn't going to America to fight Roy Jones, and so he had an excuse too. So Darius had his excuse too. So they didn't fight. Other than that, Roy fought everybody and handled his business. But when asked about Floyd Mayweather, there seems to be a little bit of bitterness out of there because some of the things he's saying, like he was saying, well, Floyd Mayweather never fought anybody on his level. You know what I mean? And that's just a ridiculous thing to say, because ain't nobody on Floyd Mayweather's level. You know what I mean? And Floyd Mayweather didn't know his level while he was fighting. When Floyd Mayweather fought Corrales, he was on his level. He was above his level. I think Floyd Mayweather probably was not the favorite in that fight. So that's somebody on your level. You just outclassed him later, then we found out he wasn't, but we sure as hell thought Diego Corrales. For anybody who was living 20 years ago, if you know who Diego Corrales is, and he's just not somebody you just shortly looked on YouTube, then you would know what I mean. Diego Corrales was ridiculous, and nobody even tried to mess with this boy. This boy was mean, okay? And Floyd had no business just outclassing him like that. So that's somebody on your level. Then I hear, it's other ones that was on his level before. When he started, he fought Gennaro Hernandez, I think his name was, the first champion. Floyd wasn't the champion, so he's on your level. You fighting, you're the opponent, so he's on your level. You know what I mean? Moving up in weight, right? Arturo Gatti. People was thinking Gatti was gonna beat him. Gatti wasn't supposed to get a beat down like that. Now, I don't want to mention Corrales and Gatti too much. We're going to keep it moving because those guys have passed away. But they would have probably tell you themselves, I thought I was going to knock his head off, right? And then, I hear Roy Jones then says, another thing that's just outlandish, what did he say? He didn't fight Costa Chew, right? Now, I know Roy Jones is in the know. One, Floyd Mayweather was chasing Costa Chew. And let guys who don't know, you think Tim Chew, you got Costa Chew was ridiculously awesome, okay? Ridiculously awesome. So it's like you would think, well, maybe Floyd wasn't trying to get with Costa, but it's documented that he was trying to get to Costa. And here's the deal. Ricky Hatton finally beat Costa. I think that's Costa's first loss. He lost to Ricky Hatton, right? Ricky Hatton is hot and undefeated. Floyd fights Ricky Hatton because he would have fought Costa, but he got beat. Mention that why you said he didn't fight Costa and just leave it out there. He didn't fight Costa. And there's, because I fought the guy who beat Costa, made Costa quit. I fought that guy, right? Undefeated and beat him. So that's why he didn't fight Costa, right? And then the other thing that bothered me, who did he fight? He didn't fight Paul Williams. Just coming out with stuff. Like, saying Paul Williams is almost like saying Roy Jones didn't fight Evander Holyfield or Mike Tyson. You went up to heavyweight, but you didn't fight him. He fought other guys at 154. He didn't fight Paul Williams. Paul Williams was probably already flatlined by Sergio Martinez or something. And not only that, it's the fifth damn weight division. It's the last weight division. Why are we talking about somebody he didn't fight at 154? Why not fighting somebody that's 130, 135, 140? Somebody in there. Talk about them, right? That he didn't fight because he was after all of them. So somebody in the fifth weight division, then just say he didn't fight Gennady Golovkin then. And keep going up. He didn't fight Sergey Kovalev. He didn't fight Andre Ward. I mean, what are we talking about here? There is nobody in the area where Floyd Mayweather was fighting that he didn't fight, or the person that beat those people. I'm not the biggest Floyd Mayweather fan, but that's just like, I don't like to use the hating either, but it sounds like, hey, that's some straight up bitterness. Floyd handled his business, guys. Even Roy Jones, and I'm Roy Jones all day, every day. Roy Jones, the baddest one I ever seen. I mean, you know what I'm saying? And he's definitely in my GOAT conversation. But heavyweight GOAT is Lennox Lewis. Y'all know that for me. But in terms of all the fighters that I ever seen, I'm not seeing somebody beating Roy Jones in his prime. I'm hard pressed for seeing that. You know what I'm saying? He's the baddest one. But it sounds bitter when it comes to Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather, retired, undefeated, unscathed, unknocked out. No one's seen him on the ground, messed up, lost. And that could probably be